I'd like to say a quick word about colors. And oftentimes people will ask me, Mike, how do you get different colors to show up? I have all these different colored markers, but on my LightBoard, they all look white. So I want to talk about that for just a minute. First off, I'll say there's two types of markers. There are regular markers intended for regular whiteboards. And in fact, these markers are supplied with the LightBoard Depot lightboards, and they're not anything special. They are really just markers for regular whiteboards. So, I mean, this is the orange. This one is the pink, although it kind of looks a bit more red. And then this one is sort of a light green. I've used these markers quite a lot. They're actually kind of running out of gas. But there's also other markers that you can use. You can buy these. These are also the same brand. They're the Quartet brand, but these are a Quartet paint type marker. And these are sort of a neon type marker. And I'll show you what those look like. These markers light up quite a bit better although this one seems to squeak a bit. That's a blue. This is a green. And this is pink. Now, you can start to see what people are talking about, when you use these very illuminating markers, the ones that really glow, and Expo Neon or a similar type, they tend to be really, really bright. And if you are having trouble with them all kind of looking the same, one of the things you can do is you can decrease the brightness on your LightBoard. So you can take your remote control, and if I'm going to put mine down to 25%. So with 25% brightness on my LightBoard, I'm using an acrylic plexiglass LightBoard, my colors look a lot better at a lower light. But you can also see that the regular sort of off-the-shelf standard whiteboard markers, dry erase markers, really they start to get a little bit dim. So so there's some trade-offs here. If you want to use regular dry erase markers, you can, although word of warning, some colors hardly show up at all. So if you get a regular standard dry erase marker and you try using it on the LightBoard and it's like, I can't see this at all. Well, it's just because it's a standard dry erase marker. It's not really intended for LightBoards, but some colors show up pretty well. And in fact, if I increase my brightness, I can actually do a great job teaching with standard dry erase markers, and the colors seem to show up nicely. But my more illuminating markers start to all turn white. The other thing that I'll suggest is that in your camera settings, there's a couple of different things that you can do. In the camera, I find the biggest factor is really the white balance. So if you can reduce your white balance setting in your camera, it's a little bit easier for the different colors to show through in the LightBoard recordings. The other thing that you can do, if you're using OBS, you can go in and apply a color correction filter. And I have a very slight color correction filter on here. And I mess around with a lot of the settings. The other thing you can mess around with as well on your camera is the exposure. So if you're having real trouble with the colors not showing up, you can actually lower your exposure on the camera, but you might need to turn up your presenter lights just so that you don't fade away into the background. So all of this stuff takes a little bit of practice, but I hope it was sort of useful to you. Halfway through there, I think in my brightness scale, I think I can actually make these colors show up reasonably well. The standard dry erase markers are they're a great fallback position. You can buy them anywhere. Just test the colors before you actually teach a class or give a presentation using them, but just be aware you need to increase your brightness of your LightBoard. Then I will also say they're easier to erase. The paint style neon sort of series of markers. They work great on the LightBoard, and you can turn the brightness of the LightBoard down quite a bit, and you can get the colors to show through, but they are a little bit more difficult to erase. So anyway, that's a quick word on color. I hope that you found that video helpful.